Charlotte Davis. I'm a networking leader for Arkansas and currently for Oklahoma, but hopefully recruiting someone for that. But I had the awesome privilege and daunting task in some ways of writing My Place for Nutrition, which is in the kit. So I hope that those of you who have had that have enjoyed it and it has helped you lead your group. I love First Place for Health. I've been leading groups for 24 years now, and 3 different churches during that time, but love it. Don't ever plan to stop leading First Place for Health. Okay, now we're going to talk about counting packaged foods and restaurant foods just a little bit. Our culture, I would say when I was growing up, if we went out to eat, it was like once every 3 months. Literally, my mother cooked all the time. We grew up with a garden. We cooked from scratch. She taught all of us how to cook. And we just didn't have a lot of money for eating out. And so when we ate out, it was a special thing. Is that the case anymore? No. It's a daily. I have one lady in my class right now who eats out every meal except breakfast. All the time. And so I've sat down with Carissa and we've talked about, okay, if you're going to do this, then we're going to have to really work on where you're going, making some plans if you want to be successful. And she's like, I want to be successful. And so hopefully we'll get her to cook eventually. But she's never cooked. She doesn't know how. So we're trying to do some training on that. But counting packaged foods, same things. Convenience foods are a way of life. And not all convenience foods are bad. Convenient just means it's already prepackaged for you. And it may have really good ingredients, but it's already prepackaged. And then you've got to figure out what to do with it on your tracker. So we're going to talk some about that and do some exercises here in just a little bit. The main things that you're going to want to do with that is to, first of all, consider the nutrition facts. So there's a whole wellness worksheet on this in My Place for Nutrition that talks about the labels and what's on it. So I'm not going to go into great detail on that. But the nutrition facts and the ingredients label are the things that you need to the ingredient listing are the 2 main things that you're going to need when you consider those nutrition facts. Because that's going to determine what groups that you're dealing with when you sit down to count it. And then you're going to also want to check out menus and websites for fast food and for any kind of restaurants. Now a lot of restaurants have it on their menus, or at least they'll have something on their menus. Fast food, depending on the size of the chain, if they have more than 20 sites, then they are required to put nutrition information somewhere. So it's there. But check out those menus and those websites so that you can make good decisions before you get there, like we talked about earlier. And I don't know about y'all, but when I go out with the group, I don't want to make it look like I'm taking forever. And I also don't want to go, oh, wow, look at that dessert tray. I think I want that. I want to be focused. And so if I know ahead of time, I'm going to order this and when I get there. And that if they have a website, that's good. If they don't, then we're going to talk about how to kind of go from the menu sometime and some visual cues. Because it's part of life. We just eat restaurant foods, don't we? So you want to check those out. And visual cues are going to be a big important thing when you're eating with friends, either out or at their homes. You're not always going to want to, you don't want to inundate them with questions about what all is in this casserole, okay? You want to be a gracious guest and not be micro-analyzing everything. And I don't want y'all to go into analysis paralysis today. This is not my goal, okay? My goal is just to give you some tools to help you. Okay, so here are some visual cues. 3 ounces of cooked meat, we've heard for years, that looks like a deck of playing cards. How many times when you go out to eat does it actually look like a deck of playing cards? No. Most of the time it's like 2 decks of playing cards or a iPad. It's just really... it's really distorted portions. So this gives you an idea of where to start. So if it looks like 2 decks of playing cards, and you can either do one of 2 things. You can count it as 6 ounces of meat if it looks like 2 decks of playing cards. Or you can do what? Take part of it home. Eat it for another meal. So just use that as a general guideline. 1 ounce of diced meat, I get a lot of questions about that. Oh, I ate a casserole, and it was all mixed up, and I don't know. I said, well, okay, think about the size of an egg, because an egg is 1 ounce of meat, right? So you think about the size of an egg, and that's about the amount of ground or chopped up meat or whatever that would be 1 ounce. So if you can just visualize that, if there's that much spread around in there or more, you can kind of gauge it based on that. And the other thing is that, and I just lost, the chopped up meat. Packaged meals. If you have a packaged meal that you bought, like a frozen one or a refrigerated one, so many times there's not. You buy it and you think it's going to have all this protein and chicken in it, and it has barely any. So this is a good guide to go if it doesn't have some kind of guideline on the package itself about how much meat is in it. Then kind of go by that, because most of the time there's not 2 ounces. I mean, occasionally there might be, but there's rarely more than that in some kind of mixed up dish. A cup can look like a baseball or a computer mouse. And on the computer mouse, it'd be like the older style computer mouse. Now there's some kind of smaller ones, but the bigger one, that would be like a cup. And then the half a cup would be like a cupcake wrapper. And don't tell me you don't know what a cupcake wrapper is. I know you do. So cupcake wrapper, we would say, oh, I just eat muffins, which can be just as high as a cupcake. But anyway, so think of that size, or a level ice cream scoop. Like when I was growing up, we had the old metal ice cream scoop with the clicker, on the side. That's about that size. And a thing that you can use that guideline for would be like your vegetables, like mashed potatoes and green beans and broccoli. Kind of visualize, okay, how much is that? And then a tablespoon, and we all know what these iPhone charger bricks are, right? We've left them in hotels. We've forgotten them at home. We've left them, we know what that looks like. Okay, so that's about a tablespoon. And a lot of times we think, oh, that's a tablespoon, and really it's like 4. So you need to really think about that iPhone brick. And then a teaspoon would be, and technically I think it should be a die, but I'm a Baptist preacher's kid, so I don't really know much about dice. So, Daddy didn't allow cards or dice or anything when we were kids, and so later on I had to learn all those horribly heathen things later. But I think it's technically die, so when you have 1. So a teaspoon would be like that. Okay, and then the next thing, and this is where I definitely want to caution you not to go into analysis paralysis. This is just to help you, okay? Check food groups. In My Place for Nutrition, and Vicki is the one who actually asked me to mention this. At the very beginning of every food group in My Place for Nutrition, it says 1 serving equals approximately, and that's where that first column came from. Okay, that's what we based the food plan on, was that each serving would be approximately that amount. So if you consistently have grains that are over 80 or consistently have dairy that's over 90, then you're going to obviously go off of, you're going to be eating more calories than what the plan says. So this is the average of what it is. And then I'm giving you a little bit more information there about what's the content of that. And that's what we're going to come to a little bit later. It'll help you, those of you who are numbers people and like detail. You're going to love this. Those of you who hate it, just think about the calories. That's going to be enough for you probably. So don't go into paralysis.